Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're settling a debate that's probably echoed through your back-end development teams for years. Look, if you're building a Java Spring REST API, your testing suite is literally your primary safety net. But are you actually using the best tool to build that net? Let's find out. So which Java testing framework is actually the best? It's the ultimate question for Java devs and tech leads who just want to standardize their back-end tools. We already know automated testing is absolutely non-negotiable for robust software, right? But the landscape is packed. Do you just stick to the old reliable industry standard? Or is there some hidden gem out there that could execute your pipelines faster and with way cleaner code? To get to the bottom of this, here is our roadmap. We'll start with a framework showdown, then compare the big three. After that, we'll look at why JUnit still wins, deconstruct its architecture, dive into the power of its extensions, and finally, help you choose your champion. All right, Section 1, the Framework Showdown. Let's look at the hard, objective data to build our baseline understanding here. We're grounding our entire analysis today in a super rigorous thesis out of Linnaeus University in Sweden, put together by Leopold Herber and Sebastian Åkerblom. Now, what makes the study so incredibly valuable is that they didn't just, sit around reading documentation. They actually built a completely functional, layered Java Spring Boot REST API backed by a Postgres database running in Docker. They isolated the logic right in the service layer and tested it across different frameworks just to see what actually happens in a real-world scenario. It's a classic tale of the tape. They pitted three heavyweight contenders against each other: JUnit 5, TestNG, and Spock. And they judge them on three very strict criteria. We're talking execution time, memory usage, and code conciseness, meaning literally the number of characters required to write the tests. Moving on to Section 2, comparing the big three. Let's look at the actual metrics from running those service layer unit tests, your standard create, modify, and delete operations, on that dedicated API. Okay, these objective metrics reveal a really surprising twist. If you went into this thinking JUnit 5 was just going to sweep the board, well, think again. TestNG actually beats JUnit 5 on raw execution speed. Fast, right? Meanwhile, Spock, which uses a behavior-driven approach, requires the absolute fewest characters to write. So where does that leave our heavyweight champion? JUnit 5 basically just serves as the middle-of-the-road baseline across all these performance metrics. Which brings us to Section 3, why JUnit still wins. This creates a really fascinating tension. If JUnit 5 loses on raw speed to TestNG, and it loses on code length to Spock, why on earth is it still the undisputed king of Java testing? Well, alongside their performance metrics, the researchers also ran a questionnaire for developers, and the conclusion was crystal clear. To quote the study directly, JUnit 5 remains the most well-known and widely used testing framework among developers. It really just comes down to this: developers heavily favor familiarity, massive ecosystem integration, and standard adoption. JUnit 5 already comes pre-installed with Spring Boot, so it's everywhere. Devs are totally willing to trade a few milliseconds of execution time for a framework that literally every new hire already knows how to use on day one. Let's jump into Section 4, deconstructing JUnit architecture. Because to truly understand why devs love it so much, we need to zoom into the micro level and break down JUnit 5's incredibly robust architecture. Unlike the older versions, JUnit 5 isn't just one giant monolithic block of code. It's an elegant formula made up of three distinct subprojects. First, you've got the JUnit platform, which acts as the foundation for launching and discovering your tests. Then there's JUnit Vintage, which is basically your safety net, right? It gives you backward compatibility so you can still run all those legacy JUnit 3 and 4 tests on the new platform. And finally, you have the star of the show, JUnit Jupyter. Jupyter is the true powerhouse here. It introduces this highly flexible programming and extension model that uses a test engine to execute tests. It completely opens up a world of modularity, letting you modify execution behavior and inject dependencies completely seamlessly. Honestly, it's this exact flexibility that makes JUnit 5 so unbelievably sticky for enterprise teams. All right, Section 5, the power of extensions. Let's dive into this specific feature because it solves some massive real-world developer pain points, and it's where you really see the architectural superiority of Jupyter in action. Check out this chronological extension lifecycle. It maps out exactly how JUnit 5 allows you to inject custom actions at any specific point in your testing flow. By throwing in the extend with annotation, you can trigger custom logic before all tests run, before each individual test, right after a test, and after the entire suite is totally done. So let's break down exactly why this is a total game changer for your REST API. We start with the before all callback. Imagine you have this massive suite of integration tests that require a Dockerized Postgres database to be spun up. Well, the crucial point of the before all callback is allowing you to handle these heavy, super expensive external resource setups just once. You initialize it globally before a single test even runs. That alone saves you massive amounts of overall suite time. Moving a step further, the before each callback is absolutely your best friend for guaranteeing that leftover state from previous tests doesn't somehow contaminate your current one. If you're mocking a service layer or injecting temporary test data into your Spring context, you just use this callback to reset everything back to a pristine, clean state before every single method executes. It is absolutely crucial for ensuring your tests stay isolated and reliable. And finally, we hit the teardown phase. After each and after all callbacks are vital for your cleanup tasks. If you've opened file streams, manipulated global states, or locked database rows, you absolutely must release them. These teardown extensions are what protect your application from those dreaded memory leaks and cascading failures during massive test suite executions. It keeps your pipeline green and your memory usage totally optimized. That brings us to section 6, choosing your champion. We've covered a lot of ground today, right? With both the macro performance data and the micro architectural insights laid out, it is time to actually apply this to your own Spring REST APIs. To find your ultimate champion, you just need to align your project's biggest pain points with the specific personality of these frameworks. Look, if you have a massive legacy test suite and literally every millisecond of CI/CD pipeline time costs you money, TestNG's raw execution speed is a really compelling choice. On the other hand, if your team highly values readable, behavior-driven tests, and you want to type as few characters as physically possible, Spock's elegant syntax is for sure your winner. But if you want that seamless, out-of-the-box Spring integration, powerful lifecycle extensions, and a framework that literally any developer can jump into on day one, JUnit 5 remains the undisputed champion. So, speed, conciseness, or ecosystem, which one will drive your next test suite? We hope this explainer has empowered you with the structured data you need to confidently architect your backend. Are you going to break away from the pack to chase that raw speed? Or will you leverage the unstoppable, highly customizable ecosystem of JUnit 5? Examine your pipeline, weigh your priorities, and make your choice. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.